What if I told you the engine that was supposed to save an entire company almost destroyed it instead? Today, we uncover the shocking and dramatic truth behind Evinrude Ficht Engine, a story of genius technology, disastrous failures, corporate chaos, and the lessons a marine world never forgot. The miracle engine that came too early. To understand the Ficht engine, we have to rewind to the early 1990s, a time when governments across the world were tightening emissions laws. Boat engines were powerful, but they were also smoky, loud, and incredibly polluting. Manufacturers feared that if they didn't innovate fast, they'd be wiped out. Evinrude, a legendary American brand with more than a century of history, decided to bet everything on a revolutionary new technology, the Ficht direct injection system. It was marketed as a miracle, the engine that would deliver more power, less fuel, nearly zero smoke, and ultra-clean emissions. On paper, it looked like the future. But here's the part nobody expected. The very technology meant to save Evinrude almost became the reason for its downfall. The brilliant idea, direct injection, that changed everything. Let's talk about what made the Ficht system so special. Traditional two-stroke engine sprayed fuel into the crankcase, wasting fuel and pumping out pollution. But the Ficht system, it directly injected fuel straight into the combustion chamber at high pressure. This meant cleaner burn, stronger explosion, less waste, more efficiency. Evinrude proudly declared, "This is the engine that will make two strokes relevant again." People believed it, dealers believed it, boaters believed it. But behind the scenes, engineers were discovering something terrifying. The engine worked, but the tolerances were too tight, the design too rushed, and the margin for error almost zero. The hidden problem nobody wanted to admit. Here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. When the Ficht engines hit the market, the first wave of users loved them. The engines were smooth, quiet, and fuel efficient. But then the complaints started. Engine failures, overheating, detonation, catastrophic piston damage, engines catching fire. Dealers started reporting that Ficht units were coming back faster than they were going out. Some engines barely made it through a season. And the worst part? Nobody could agree on what the real problem was. Some blamed the fuel injectors. Some blamed the lubrication system. Some blamed poor cooling design. Some blamed Evinrude for pushing an unfinished product to market, all while customers were stuck with engines failing in the middle of lakes and oceans. The explosion, literally. One of the most shocking problems with the early Ficht engines was a dangerous mix of lean burning and internal hotspots. When the system injected too little fuel, or even a fraction of a second late, the combustion chamber turned into an explosive environment. Instead of controlled burn, the engine detonated violently, almost like a miniature explosion inside the cylinder. The results were devastating. Pistons cracked in half. Cylinder walls melted like wax under flame. In some cases, entire power heads literally blew apart, leaving dealers stunned and customers furious. It felt as if the engines were destroying themselves from the inside. News of these failures spread like wildfire. Internet forums lit up with warnings. Mechanics posted horror stories. Boaters told each other, "Stay away from early Ficht models. They are ticking time bombs." The damage to Evinrude's reputation wasn't slow or gradual. It was instant, brutal, and nearly impossible to stop. The corporate pressure cooker. While engines were failing in the real world, things were even worse inside the company. Evinrude's parent company at the time, OMC, Outboard Marine Corporation, was already struggling financially. They needed the Ficht technology to succeed. They needed it to be perfect. They needed it to save them. But engineering doesn't obey deadlines. The company rushed updates, but every fix created new problems. Dealers were overwhelmed with warranty claims. Customers were furious. Confidence in the brand dropped by the day. Behind the walls of OMC, panic was growing. And then, disaster struck. The collapse of a giant. By the early 2000s, the situation had spun completely out of control. What started as a few engine failures turned into a nationwide crisis. Warranty claims poured in faster than OMC could process them. Dealers were begging for replacement engines. Customers were angry, frustrated, and losing trust in the brand they once loved. Every failure damaged Evinrude's reputation a little more, and soon the entire marine industry began to distance itself from the company. Sales didn't just drop, they collapsed. The financial pressure became unbearable. OMC was bleeding millions. Factories were slowing down, and the company's leadership knew they were running out of time. After nearly a century of dominance, OMC could no longer survive the financial storm caused partly by the Rush Ficht engines. In 2000, the unthinkable happened. OMC filed for bankruptcy. Most people thought this was the end. But it wasn't, because a surprising twist was waiting ahead. The rescue and the rebirth. After OMC's collapse, Bombardier Recreational Products, BRP, stepped in. They purchased Evinrude and decided to salvage the Ficht system rather than abandon it. And here's the surprising twist. With proper engineering time, BRP actually fixed the weaknesses of the early Ficht engines. They improved the cooling system, strengthened the pistons, rebuilt the injection mapping, solved the overheating and detonation issues, and rebranded the technology as E-TEC. The new engines were dramatically better, reliable, fuel-efficient, and clean. E-TEC even won awards for being the cleanest two-stroke engine in the world. The ghost of the Ficht disaster was finally buried. But the lesson? That would never be forgotten. Why the Ficht failure still matters today. Even today, boaters talk about the Ficht story because it teaches some powerful lessons. Lesson 1. Revolutionary technology must be perfected before release. A great idea means nothing if the execution is unstable. Lesson 2. Rushing engineering can destroy entire companies. Deadlines don't make engines reliable. Testing does. Lesson 3. Reputation is everything. Once customers lose trust, it's almost impossible to win it back. Lesson 4. Innovation always carries risk. Sometimes brilliance fails, not because the idea is wrong, but because it came too soon. The Ficht engine wasn't a bad invention. It was a brilliant invention, launched before it was ready. The legend, the warning, and the legacy. Ask any old-school mechanic today, and they'll tell you. Early Ficht engines? Stay away. Late generation Ficht? Much better. E-TEC? One of the best two-strokes ever built. It's rare for an engine story to have that many chapters, and that much drama. The Ficht saga is remembered as a warning to manufacturers, a lesson to engineers, and a fascinating moment in marine history, because it proves something incredible. A single invention can save a company, or destroy it, and in Evinrude's case, it did both. Conclusion. And that's a shocking truth behind Evinrude's Ficht engine, a story of innovation, failure, collapse, and rebirth. If you want more powerful, dramatic breakdowns of engine history and mechanical mysteries, make sure you subscribe, like, and tell me what engine story you want next.